Welcome back to our Bright Ideas series on IndustrialSage from Acuity Brands. Today we continue our discussion about ultraviolet lighting as a means for disinfection. I'm joined today by Gary Trott, Vice President of Technology at Acuity Brands. Gary, let's dive a little bit deeper into the different technologies and how they all work. First, what are some of the sources of UV light?
Some of the sources you'll know real well, like LED technology, and some that are very similar to fluorescent technology. Ones that you don't know as well probably are xenon, and the ones that you really won't know is excimer. An excimer lamp, it's a very special lamp that emits 222 nanometer UV light, and it's very crucial. We'll talk more about that later.
Okay, so a few options to choose from. What about the different spaces? Where would you and how would you want to use UV disinfection?
You bet. So if your goal is just disinfecting rooms as fast as you can, you'd use direct room disinfection. If your goal was to reduce the amount of airborne particles, then you might use upper air room disinfection. And then if you really want to keep the amount of pathogens in the space as low as you can while people are present, then continual room disinfection.
Okay, so a couple different approaches. Let's go through those a little bit in more detail. So the first one you mentioned, intense room disinfection.
That's right. So what this is they can use either pulse xenon or the fluorescent type lamps. And what this does, it'll very rapidly disinfect a room when people aren't present. And so it could be used for, say, in a hospital and a patient bedroom. When you're changing the room over, go through and clean what you typically do, but also add another layer of protection by rapidly disinfecting it, say for half an hour, or during a lunch break at school, or possibly even a receiving dock. The key differences amongst the different technology, for instance, pulse xenon is probably the more modern approach that's a lot smaller and can disinfect very rapidly.
So very lot faster disinfection, but the key there is people cannot be in the space.
Exactly.
And then you mentioned upper room air disinfection.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little more about that?
You bet. So with that, rather than the UV being pointed down, it goes up. So there's this band at the top of the room, about top 25% of the room. And as pathogens are breathed out or circulated through the room, they pass through this light or the UV, and they get disinfected and recirculated back down. So it continually cleans the air in that space. And so this is something that's been around since 1937. This is the first research that we found. And the Philadelphia day schools had a measles outbreak, and this helped slow down the transmission of that.
Oh, wow.
So it's been proven, and it's also been used in tuberculosis clinics and homeless shelters.
Oh, okay. All right, and then the last one you mentioned was continual room disinfection. So I'm guessing it's continuously disinfecting all the time in the space.
That's right, and while people are there.
Okay.
And that's the power of it. People can be present, and you can still meet safety guidelines and disinfect. And the reason why is that technology is 222 nanometer that's filtered. And so the physics of that is such that as it, say, lands on your skin, it doesn't penetrate the dead layer on the top. It doesn't get to living tissue. Same with your eye. It only goes to it doesn't go past the tear layer to the cornea. So it makes it so that you can meet those safety guidelines that are there. And so if you think about that, what's so powerful about that is that, you know, with direct room disinfection, you can really disinfect, say, overnight, but as soon as someone walks in, the room begins to get disinfected or gets infected again, right? But with this, as soon as people begin to introduce pathogens into the space, they start to be reduced over time. So that's very important. So it flattens that curve a bit and allows the space to be continually disinfected while people are present and meet safety guidelines.
So if I'm someone that wants to implement UV disinfection in my space, what's the best way to figure out what you need for your space?
Sure. Well, you want to become a student of the technology and really learn about it. You can do this any number of ways. You can find some podcasts or TED Talks. Just Google it. And you can also go to our website. There's a link we have in the description here that you can learn a lot more about it. You know, but ultimately, just kind of get out there and start learning. And what we really would recommend is you can start small. Find a space you want to disinfect. Engage with a partner that you trust, and try it out. And you'll learn a lot by doing that. And so I think really the thing that I think is important is that as lighting professionals, we have a skill set that is ideal for applying this technology. We need to learn a few new things, but it's really a good challenge, I think, for lighting professionals to go out and learn about it and apply it and start helping make the world a safer place.
Gary, thank you for joining us, giving us all this insight into UV lighting. It sounds like a lot is to come in the near future. Join us for our next episode of Bright Ideas. We are going to look at switchable lighting technology.